Right, good evening, everybody. Welcome. I'm Quentin Cooper. I am your genial host for tonight. I present BBC Radio 4's Material World, 4:30 Thursdays. And if you take away one fact from tonight, Material World, 4:30, now with a repeat on Mondays at 9 p.m. as well. And of course, there's a podcast and listen again and everything else. Now, the first thing I need to explain tonight is this chair. We're not doing a teeny tiny version of Mastermind. I went over on my ankle on Waverley Bridge yesterday for no reason. I'm not suing the District Council or Scottish Enterprise. It was entirely my fault. And I've done my ankle. It's quite painful. It's strapped up. I want to keep moving around tonight. If I find it's too painful, I will retreat to this chair. So it's there for that purpose only. Don't worry, we just missed the bit where we explain what synthetic life's all about. It's nothing important. We'll come back to it later. So first of all, can I have a check here? Can I just check, are there any synthetic life forms in the audience? Not yet, but maybe in a couple of years if we come back and do this. Okay, well, for humans who are here, the title is Designer Life, Scotland's Next Industrial Revolution, ? Which makes it all sound very hypothetical. But it's a revolution that to some degree is already almost upon us. If you've been seeing the papers in recent weeks and months, there have been headlines like creating life in a laboratory, how to make life, countdown to a synthetic life form. There are at least some sections of the media that make this all sound very imminent. So how close are we to it, and how well prepared are we for this? I should declare a particular interest. A long, long time ago, I studied artificial intelligence here at Edinburgh University. Well, not actually here, about somewhere over there. And back then, we used to think we were about 10 years away from a computer that could think like a human. That was the general view. 10 years' time, computers will have them that think like a human. You get to 10 years later, yeah, we haven't quite made it. We're now about 10 years away from a computer that can think like a cat. Okay, 10 years' time, you there? No, it's actually a bit more complicated than we thought. We're about 10 years away maybe from a computer that can think like a bacterium. Now, bacterium, they're a lot more clever than you think. And actually, there was a lesson here that actually, hubris. When you look at life arrogantly from a human perspective, you think, oh, well, we can do this, surely. This is just nature and randomness. But actually, life is incredible and amazingly complicated, and it's led to a kind of change of tack and a different approach. Rather than trying to build an artificial brain and put it in some kind of cleverly engineered body, which is the way that sci-fi movies will still show it, these different approaches evolved, ones that drew on the sophistication of existing life. So to either adapt that life slightly, tinker with it to our own ends, or even to use biological building blocks to build something completely new. So this is really the origins of thinking about synthetic biology, synthetic life, or as we've called it, designer life, although I suspect there are people on the panel who might slightly bridle at that terminology. Now we're going to hear about both of these approaches tonight, about why this is something that Scotland might want to be right in the forefront of, why it might potentially already be in the forefront of, and you'll notice I've managed to get all this way in without using the term creating, even once. When we talk about creating life, suddenly you get into controversial areas, but I'm hoping we'll touch upon those as well, because when scientists or anybody meddles with the nature of life, you get into areas which can be very tricky and very dangerous. And it's important that we consider what we could be doing and what we should be doing, what we should be regulated on doing, and what we're free to do. And I'm hoping this will come up over the course of the evening. So that's quite a lot of life to squeeze into 90 minutes. And I'm also hoping for quite a lot of life from the audience as well. There will be lots of time for your points and questions. Some of this stuff might get a little bit academic. If there's any point where you're thinking, I've no idea what they just said there, tell us. This is for you. It's not for the panel. It's not for me. It's not even for the cameras. We are being filmed tonight as well. But it is for you. So if at any point, do say that. We do welcome basic questions, hypothetical questions, and we've even got some questions of our own. Just to get you started, have you all got one of these keypads you got as you came in? Or, more sensibly, anyone not got a keypad? You haven't. Can we just give a keypad to this lady here? Okay, it's pretty simple. We're going to give you some questions. We'll start with the first questions if we can. So do you believe it's ever right, I know you can read this, but I'm just saying this for dramatic effect. Do you believe it's ever right to change the genetic makeup of living organisms? It's a simple question, but it's kind of nuanced. Ever right? Living organisms? At this stage, you may vote any of the three, but vote now. I reckon there's about 100 of you in here. 86. Either there's fewer of you than I think, or some of you are a bit shy. Come on, let's get it to 90. You can only vote once. This will come up later, by the way. Some of these questions we're going to be asking you tonight, there'll be things that you might want to vote more than once on. You only get one vote, but you can change your mind until we stop counting. Oh, we have got to the 90. OK, let's have a look at how we voted here. Do you believe it's ever right? OK, so the vast majority of you are starting. 85% think it is sometimes right to change the makeup. Obviously, what we haven't said is how often. Some of you think absolutely not. And there's a bunch of you that don't know. So let's just hold that in our heads. 85%, 7%, 9%. Can somebody write that down? Richard, thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to those stats later in the evening. Now, I've got a panel of 4. And what's going to happen is we're going to hear presentations from 2 of them, give the other 2 of the panel a little bit of a chance to respond. And then, as much as possible, yourselves. We've got a few more of these questions and answers we're going to put to you. But the most important thing is you get your questions, answers, points, thoughts, however deep, however half-baked, dealt with over the course of the evening. I'm sure being Edinburgh and this being a science festival, there will be some expertise in the audience, but it's not just a kind of love-in for people who work in synthetic biology. I do want to talk to all sorts of people about this. So, shall we start? OK, it only remains for me to say the traditional ceremonial greeting of, can you please turn off your mobile phones? Thank you. And we'll get things going with Jim Haseloff. I'm not going to give everybody's full CVs because it's in the little programmes you were given as you went in. But suffice to say that Jim is a plant biologist at Cambridge. His scientific interests are particularly focused on the engineering of the ways that plants form and shape themselves. And to do that, he uses a whole range of molecular engineering techniques and approaches and computational things, some of which he may care to talk about. But essentially, he's interested in ways of modifying what's already in nature. Yes, that will be the mobile phone there that you were just trying to turn off just then. But I think so we should hear it directly, though, from Dr. Jim Haseloff about why synthetic life is life, but not quite as we yet know it. Jim.
Well, thank you, Quentin.